before I can get to the campus tour, we gotta get you the information that you need. Okay, here are the teams that are fighting for championship position. For Charlotte in the ACC championship games, a three-team race. SMU's on top, followed by Clemson and Miami. Clemson is done with ACC play. They are 7-1. They are locked right there. So it's up to SMU and Miami to make things happen. Now, let me give you scenarios here. For the way that it stands right now, if SMU wins at least one of its final two home games, or one, if they win one of their final two games this week and next week, if they just win one, they're in. Correct. If they win one or both, they're in. If Miami wins both of their remaining ACC games, they're in. It'll be SMU and Miami in Charlotte. If SMU goes 8-0 and both Miami and Clemson are tied at 7-1, it would be Miami because Miami, they beat Louisville. And guess who Louisville beat? They beat Clemson. There go your difference right there in the tiebreaker because none of these three has played each other. So there's no head-to-head to look at. So, but if all three teams, let's say SMU drops a game, Miami runs the table, and we already know Clemson's at 7-1 in conference play. If that was to happen correctly, then it would be Miami and SMU anyway because all three of them played Louisville. Louisville lost to two of them, which we know the two is, and we know who the one that they Louisville beat. You see, Dabo Swinney? You put your ass in this position. You couldn't beat Louisville, but SMU beat Louisville. Miami beat Louisville. That's why you on the edge of your goddamn seat now. Because it's very simple. SMU wins one game, they're in. Miami wins out, they're in. So the only scenario for Clemson versus Miami to happen in Charlotte, SMU got to lose both games. Plain and simple. SMU got to lose both games. Miami just need to win one. If you want Clemson and SMU in Charlotte, Miami loses one of the final two games. SMU wins at least one. All right. So whatever it is, Clemson, I'm gonna put this in very simple terms. If you're a Clemson Tiger fan, you need Miami to lose. That's plain and simple. Miami just need to lose one game. Problem with that is, if I'm going to go to my schedule here, see if I can fill up the Canes schedule. For Miami to lose, you talking about somebody upsetting the Hurricanes like Georgia Tech did. Problem is, there's no other Georgia Tech in the Atlantic Coast Conference. So this week coming up, Wake Forest is heading down to Coral Gables or Miami to play the Hurricanes. Then after that, it's a trip to Syracuse. There's your opportunity right there, Clemson. When Miami goes to Syracuse next weekend, not this week, but next weekend, when they got to go to the Carrier Dome, or formerly known as the Carrier Dome, it's just the Dome now. When they got to go to the Dome and play the Syracuse Orangemen, who are 73 on the season, by the way. So that would not be an easy game for the Canes. So November 30th, it's the game that y'all need to circle. Because if Miami loses that game, Clemson gets into the ACC championship game. That's all they need. SMU, by the way, just those of you who want to know, SMU, they have a game at Virginia coming up this weekend. And then the following week, they are hosting Cal. So Cal has been going down here after losing so many close games and heartbreaking games. So that's where the California Bears are at right now. But I get it. I do get it. So that's what we get when it comes to the ACC. All right. The Big Ten is a lot up for grabs here. You got BYU and Colorado at the top two spots right now. You got Iowa State and Arizona State rocking. Interesting part is Arizona State and BYU, they'll be meeting this weekend. So I'm looking forward to that game. Iowa State, they are still mathematically alive, surprisingly, because they have not been looking very good as of late. And then Colorado and BYU, it's very simple. Win out and you're in. I can't make it no simpler than that for Coach Prime and the BYU Cougars. Coach Prime, Colorado, and BYU Cougars, should I say. Win out. That's simple. That's win out. But for BYU, that's hard because you're going to Arizona State, by the way. Colorado, you are going to Kansas, who is coming off an upset win over BYU. So this week is not going to be an easy week for those two teams. And you have Iowa State at Utah. And then the following week, you have Colorado hosting Oklahoma State. And Oklahoma State still haven't won a Big 12 game yet. So you definitely want to be that team that loses to Mike Gundy and the Cowboys of Oklahoma State. BYU is hosting Houston. You have the battle for Arizona between Arizona and Arizona State, and then Iowa State will be hosting to Kansas State. So Iowa State their chances don't look too good. Okay. BYU chances look bleak because they got to play Arizona State. Colorado has probably the best opportunity to get there. If they get to beat Kansas, and BYU was to beat to beat Arizona State, that's your conference championship right there. That's your conference championship right there. Because I don't think Colorado played Iowa State, and if they did, I hope. If I'm looking at the Colorado schedule, nope, Colorado did not play Iowa State, and I don't think Iowa State played BYU either. So we have to go to some interesting tiebreakers to see how Iowa State can get in after this week if status quo holds up. I'll put it like that. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they will do this because nope, none of them play each other, so we'll be in the same situation as we is with the ACC. But very, very interesting week. This is a very important week in the Big 12. It is a very important week in the Big 12. Let's go to the Big 10, shall we? We talked about it earlier. Oregon is already in. They'll be heading to Indianapolis on December 7th to play for the Big 10 title. Now the question is, who would join the Mighty Ducks in Indianapolis? Well, I got the scenario for you here, all right? And it's pretty simple here. If Indiana was to beat Ohio State, you can pretty much lock them in. Not officially, but you can pretty much lock them in because they would have been undefeated. And their last game of the year is they in-state rivalry with Purdue. If Oregon State was to beat Indiana, they look pretty good because they already beat Penn State, and the only game they got left is Michigan, who doesn't look good. But if they should also win at Michigan, though, Ohio State needs to win out to get it. Okay, they need to beat Indiana and they need to beat Michigan. Okay, Penn State is on the outside looking in. That's pretty what it is. Penn State is on the outside looking in. The only way Penn State can meet with Oregon and Indianapolis is for Indiana to lose to Ohio State this weekend, to lose to Purdue as well. So they need Indiana to lose out, and they need Ohio State to get beat by Michigan. Otherwise, it's just simple between the winner of Indiana and Ohio State this weekend. That's going to Indianapolis. That's pretty much what it's boiling down to, okay? And then the SEC, good grace. What we're going to do is we're just going to let you see the standings. Texas A&M, both 5-1. They got some interesting games this weekend. If my memory serves me correctly, and go to the SEC slate schedule. Texas has Kentucky at home in Austin. Texas A&M is at Auburn, so a couple of tricky games there. You got Georgia 6-2, Tennessee 6-2, Alabama 4-2, and Ole Miss 4-2. Alabama is at Oklahoma this weekend. I like their chances because I don't believe in Oklahoma at all, but it is in Norman, Oklahoma. Tennessee coming off that loss, you're looking at UTEP non-conference, so yeah, that doesn't help Tennessee at all. And Ole Miss is at Florida, so tricky game here. So we'll dive in a little bit more of the SEC next week after this week plays out because that's a lot of teams. You're talking 6 teams that's still alive. 6 teams that's still alive. But you have Ole Miss beat Georgia, Alabama beat Georgia, Tennessee beat Alabama, Texas beat Alabama. Georgia beat Texas. Texas A&M and Texas play next weekend. It's a lot to get through. So yeah, we're gonna wait a week. We'll dive into that next week to get a better, clear picture of who has a real shot at making it to the ATL. Okay, there we go.